Peace, everybody. We are live. Shout out to everybody. We are live. It's your main man, Juggernaut of Arkatech Beatz.
Arkatech Beatz.
Welcome to the music production and beat making live stream. It's your main man, Juggernaut of multi-platinum producers, Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, man, welcome. What we do every day, we get together, we make some tracks, we put together some beats while we answer questions about the music business and all the other good stuff. I was out yesterday. I was under the weather. Man, let me just be honest. I was just straight up sick yesterday. I was sick like a dog yesterday. But, you know, we back at it. So, you know, we're going to play these beats. Let's go. How we did this now, we started off with a sample on it. Just for those who are not familiar with how we build the beats together, we start off with this sample. And then what we did is we pitched it up. So we start off with that. And then we move from the sample to, we start pulling the pieces together. We start with the snare. Then after the snare, and from the snare we run it to the hats. All right. Last one, we have the kick. Black Boy Wayne. Anthony, what's up, man? We back at it. Knicks beat the Celtics. What is that? Is that two? What is that? 2-1? What is that? Two zero. God damn. Okay. Shout out, no L's, man. I'm gonna add like a tremolo string into this. I hear like a high string. I just gotta get the right tune on it. Minor. You add that string in there real quick. Listen, I'm a lifetime Knicks fan. I'm a lifetime Knicks fan. But I stopped watching the Knicks because every time I watched the Knicks, it was like it was giving me a heart palpitations and ulcers. It would make me so angry that they would get so close. From the Patrick Ewing infamous finger roll, for those who are old enough to remember, like it was just too much for me. You know what I mean? So while I love the Knicks, I stopped watching them because of the pain of they get so close and then they lose. It was just too hurtful for me, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just glad that if they up 2-0 on them Celtics, man, it's crazy. Yeah, if they go to the finals, I gotta watch, but whew, they need a healthy Brunson, man. So you see how this was going. It started off with the sample that was kind of. It was kind of. I kind of liked how the sample sounds. I think this string can go up an octave. That's what I hear, and I'm gonna try it and see if that sounds better. So where we at? We at. It's just G. Am I going to rearrange this one? Probably not. It's a slow groove. Just let me name it. And I'm still trying to battle this cold, man. This joint is was kicking my butt last night. Zach was good. I'm going to hold on to that right there, and I'm going to jump into the next one. That's kind of noisy, right? What y'all think? It's feeling like a hard pass to me tonight. That's feeling like a hard pass tonight. Nowhere I would sample that. You say, yeah, I would never. Listen, I'm gonna be honest. Listen, like. So, in our early days, and I'm gonna break this down for you real quick. Hold on, I know you're like, yo, what is that? What are you even playing? He's like, yo, Jug, what are you playing? Like, listen. The joke with this is like this. Right? So listen, in our old days, we would love this type of sample. And I'm gonna tell you why. Cause we would like our music to be like cinematic and what you call it. So just for the sake of doing it, I'm gonna show you something. So check this out, right? So here we go. Pretty smooth. Here we go. So it's one thing to make the beat, but can someone rap on it? That's the question. Mystical. We're gonna put an 808 in this joint. right, let's try another one. Let's try the next note. So listen. It's like it's like you like you don't even intend on. You don't even know where it's gonna go. Like you hear it and you like. And personally, it's like it's too busy. Like when we were first getting into it, and we were used to try to find the most busiest samples that we could find because we wanted to have that cinematic, like it was in a movie, like a chase car scene, like So we wanted to have that kind of exciting thing. But what we learned really quickly is that a lot of rappers can't handle that. It's like it's too much for a lot of folks. You know what I mean? So we had to kind of dial it back. Like if you listen to our Jadakiss record, our record that we did with Jadakiss is called Realest in the Game, right? So it's featuring Sheik Luch and Young Buck. And if you listen to that, it's like a movie soundtrack. But it's trap music, but it's like the illest of movie soundtrack. And while I think it's probably one of our better productions, it's like it was a single, but it still didn't really catch on like it should have, because I just think that the record is just too aggressive. You know what I mean? Like it's too busy for the mass, so the mass can't really like hear how hard it is. You know what I mean? Like it's really a hard record, but it's like people they listen to it, they be like, I don't know how to feel about it. You know what I mean? It's like it's too hard. You know what I mean? Pause. So, I want to kind of make this 808 a little bit more beefy, if I have to say that. I don't want to say it that way, but try to do it that way. Capone and Noriega, man. See, you're going back there. Zach is going. See, Zach is studying the game. He's going back to CNN days. He's studying the game. Be like students of the game. Prime Luda. But I know at first Ascended, you was looking at it like, yo, what you gonna do with that, bro? Like, what you gonna do with that? And I'm just like, yeah, on the first listen, you're like, it's kind of noisy, But that's the whole point of us in this series. This series is for us to kind of just break down different ways that we can play with samples, man. Break down different ways that we can produce the music. It's like, I might hear it one way, you're hearing it another way, you know what I mean? And it's just to kind of get people just acclimated to our process and the way that we're thinking and the way that we're breaking down this music. And it's something for people to be able to look at. And then also when it's time for artists to jump on these tracks, it's like a lot of times if the artist is watching us make the music at the same time, the artist can kind of understand, like, okay, I think I know how I need to really jump on that. I know how I need to hit that. And it's really about having the proper marriage of vocals to the beat. You know what I mean? And not just lyric wise. It's really more like tone and cadence, timing. You know what I mean? Like those things are like very, very important. It's like, when do we make the track breathe? When is the right pauses, right? How do I use my vocal tone and or inflection to kind of get it to where I'm married with the track, and that's just something that a lot of people fail to kind of learn. They record and they record, but they don't really realize that your voice is really the top instrument on the track. So for those who are in the chat now, who are aspiring artists, for those who are looking to really do the work with us, like I'm looking for, just pay attention to those things, and this is what we would call the education, and making sure that hey, you're gonna be able to last the test of time, because once you kind of understand how it is to bring your tone to certain records, then you become timeless. Somebody said MOP on the joint. I never considered that. So now, if we were to add some different instruments to this, I would like the chat to tell me what they hear in this that would go in this joint that you think, I would say percussive wise, before we go to other instruments. Just take some wild guesses and what you kind of hear, how the track is going, and tell me some of the things that you might hear that need to go in there as well. Shout out to the new followers. Shout out to everybody that's liking the live. Ticking bomb sound. I hear you. One of the first things we probably would drop in here will be a crash. Oh, that could drop. sample is, if you notice this sample is a low sample, so we want to normalize it to make the wave bigger. Asian deep sounding drum wooden stick. Would that be a tom fill? Yes, a tom fill. Y'all hear that? A tom fill, some crashes. That would definitely, and then maybe a reverse crash to kind of accentuate the end as we ascend, and then go into as it loops. And these are just some of the things that you would just kind of do to kind of make the beat bigger, right? Hear that? How's the 808 sounding on y'all side? I know it sounded tough on my side. I want to make sure it sounded tough on your side. Find one more sound in here. I'm gonna do either a side. Someone was saying a barn. to hear that as an anthem. Somebody said, my man said MOP. Aiming to MOP, man. Sinister. Yeah, you don't want it to be too much. I'm just trying to find the right one in here. Something that's really sinister that can ride on the underbelly of it. Right now it's just ear candy. Listen, we trying to make it sinister, man. Soul Child. He said Legion of Doom. Let's go. Let's go. So make sure we're sharing it live, man. Hit that like button, man. Let's go. Yo, it's my man, Ascended Master. Listen, look where we came from. Cause remember, we wasn't even sure about this one, right? All right, like we wasn't even sure about this sample. We was like, we almost didn't do it. You see, you like this is why we gotta try everything, because we almost did not do this beat tonight. We almost didn't do it. We was like this close to saying, that's not it. You know what I'm saying? And look where we at. So it's like, this is what we started with. And it sounded so busy. We was like, we don't know, right? And then we just started to build it piece by piece. So that we did the, I think we did the hats first, right? We got the hats going in there. And then after we got the hats going in, we put that snare in there. Right? And then once we got the snare down, we was able to put that kick down. And then we just started to add the rest of the elements to it. Now we added a little bit of we added the 808s in it. how much the 808. The 808 is killer. Like the 808 is really killer. Is driving it. Let's go. I'm gonna try one more thing. I didn't think that the 808 was the 808 was taking it home. John says it sounds like Dipset. Yo, shout out to Heatmakers, man. Y'all should definitely check out that episode that we have on the podcast where we have the arsonist from the Heatmakers. You know what I'm saying? He's from our hood in the Bronx, and you know he's good people. So y'all should definitely check out that episode of the Arkatech Beatz music business podcast. We got the arsonist on there from the Heatmakers that do all that Dipset stuff. I hear like a hard lead. What should we call this joint? What should we call it? Noel says WWE WD entrance music. He said call it Madden. Madden is copyrighted. I'm messing with you. Nah, I'm only messing with you, Smooth. Hey man, Patty Hustle, man. Listen, we on the beats. What we do here is we try to make people. We show people how to use the MPC, man, and we show music production. If it's your first time here rocking with us, it's Arkatech Beatz, man. Multi-platinum producers, Big Pun and Nas, The Game, Prodigy, Mobb Deep, Killer Mike, Waka Flocka, Freddie Gibbs, Meek Mill, Jadakiss, Raekwon the Chef, RZA. Yeah, I like that. Wolfpack. I like that. We're going to do that. We're going to do Wolfpack. Shout out to Noels, man. We're going to say the project as Wolfpack. That's what it seemed like. It do sound like a bunch of wolves about to skin you alive. For those who came late, we did a joint in the beginning, and it was from that to funny thing about this one, No L's, is that like when we first started it, I heard the sample. I ain't gonna hold you. I heard the sample, and in my head, I'm like, I heard this because every night before I get on, I search for my samples and I try to make sure that I can use samples that's not gonna get flagged during the live. You know what I mean? Because I don't really want my lives to get muted. Because if like on Twitch and stuff, they'll mute it, or so I gotta try to find samples that are that I could use. Right. So remember, because everything right now is really about an education, and they're really trying to show people what we can do and how we're trying to do things. I don't want stuff to get flagged. He said change the key. I wonder if I could do that as a what you call it. I could halftime it. I'll try that, Zach. And every time when we try to oh, you know, as far as the flagging, it sometimes works, sometimes it don't. It's like, you know, it just depends. But for the most part, when I heard the sample, I was like, this could go either trap, it can go trap vibe or whatever. But what I like to try to do is I like to try to do our own spin on trap. Like, I like trap music for what it is, but I like to make trap a little bit more exciting / boom bap. You know what I mean? So so that it kind of has a different feel to it. It kind of make it feel a little bit more aggressive. It works for me. I don't think it works for a lot of artists. A lot of artists is like, they don't really like their music that aggressive. You know, I don't know if it's because, you know, I'm a Bronx guy, you know, and we like things to be aggressive. You know, that's how I was raised. So it is what it is. But yeah, you know, we started off with a track that you know we weren't too sure about, but that's what it's about, man. It's about experimentation. It's about being creative and just trying to feel it out and trying to see if it works and see if it doesn't work. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? No harm, no foul, right? Got to try it out. Got to see what it is. Shout out to everybody that's been copping the drum kits. Shout out to everybody that's been copying the books on arkatechbeatz.com. Shout out to the new artists that have been copying the licenses that we are going to be working with very closely. So shout out to them. Yeah, it's divine timing, my brother. Until somebody else jumps on the record with that sound. Yeah. Look, I'm just telling everybody, like, you know, we're doing the licensing right now. We're adding beats very slowly because, you know, me and Mike, we go through a process. We pick and we choose which ones we really want to license. We got some stuff that we're working with some major label artists and some other stuff that we're working with. So that stuff will be out soon. You know, y'all be able to hear that soon. Big names. You know, so just hold tight. You know what I'm saying? You'll be able to hear that. But for the most part, like I said, you know, we're working with artists. We get a lot of inquiries about people wanting to get tracks and stuff, and what we've done is we've made some things available, but they're limited. You know, it's only a limited amount of licenses that we're letting people into, and we're really only trying to deal with serious artists who are really serious about what they're trying to do, and really are trying to develop a relationship with a producer. You know, we're not really the producers where you just come, you get a track, and then you just disappear. We're not really on that type of time. Like, we would like to make sure that we're building with an artist. And like, if you look at our discography, you'll see that we work with a lot of big name artists, but a lot of the big name artists that we did work with, we did catch them early, you know, in their ascension. And it's because we're able to identify the new talent before it actually blows up. So, you know, that's something that me and Mike are really good at. You know, Mike being a really big former A&R at one of the most prominent record labels, Loud Records, from back in the days. So that's just a skill set that brother has, you know, by identifying the talent, and that's what we do. Yeah, we part of that Loud Records, man. You know, that's That's how we got that relationship with Pun and with Raekwon. That relationship, we were Loud staff producers for Loud Records. We were signed to the label. The way that worked. There is a section as far as clearing samples, but it doesn't go in depth in terms of the different clearing houses you can use. Yep, we rock with Steve Rifkin. I'll tell y'all a story when we did Raekwon's second album. We had a listening party in New York, and that listening party it was like RZA, Old Dirty, Trap Masters, Nas, the Bravehearts. Bunch of people came through. They listened to the album as it was constructed, and the album as we had it constructed. Because we have to remember, not only did me and Mike, we not only did we produce on it, we were also the A&Rs on this album. So, it was my first A&R, consulting credit on that album, and then Mike had his previous A&R stuff because he was on Big Pun stuff, and then he was an A&R on Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth, and some of the other stuff. So after we was listening we did the listening session, and then we had met Nas and we got Nas information. Steve and Rich Isaacson, who was the president at the time of the label, they took me and Mike into the bathroom of the Hit Factory. Yeah, Mobilarity. He took us into the bathroom of the Hit Factory and said, "Hey, what do you guys want?" We was like, "Hey, we want our production deal. What's good with it?" He was like, "You got it." And that's how it went. And that's how we had got our first production deal based off of that. But yeah, that's how I start in the game. Like, really, what I mean. So, shout out to Steve, shout out to Fat Joe, shout out to Power from Wu-Tang. You know what I'm saying? He definitely was very instrumental in just a big mentor for me. Somebody's asking to sample Sammy Davis. Nah, we're not sampling none of that because we're not gonna get paid to sample that stuff. You sample that stuff, they're gonna take 100% of the records. Listen, the immobilarity that you guys heard or that you hear is not the immobilarity that we built. The immobilarity that we built, it was riddled with sample issues. So the songs, the best songs, or some of the best songs, we just couldn't get clear. And the ones that we did get clear, the composers wanted 100% of the records. So, it wasn't profitable to publish those records, if that makes sense. So when I'm on here and I'm talking about clearing, and I'm talking about using royalty free, and I'm talking about this and I'm talking about that, it's from personal experience. It's nothing worse than having a big record and they take 50% of the earnings. The copyright game isn't messed up. The copyright game is it works both ways. Because, I have some situations that I can't talk about right now where the copyright game works in my favor, right? Because once it's your music and somebody uses your music and they don't pay you for it, then you have the same rights that they got. You know what I'm saying? So that's the whole thing about you, creating your music and protecting yourself. And that's what these books is all about, is making sure that you're educated so that you can protect yourself. So that when those things happen, you got a legal recourse, because too often they take advantage of us. Yep. then we're going to be building out some more drum kits. I know some people want to hear some more drum kits. I want to turn this one that I've been using in the lives. I want to turn this one into a kit that people have access to. I just got to do some more tweaks to it and do a little bit more, sound design to it to kind of get it exactly where I want it. But a lot of the times that I've been using this kit on the lives, people been rocking with it. People seem to like it a lot, like the sound that's coming out of it. So, no more vintage gear, no S950, none of that. just the MPC. Like, honestly, what I got here is like this. I got this MPC X SE. I got an MPK here, 261. I have that, right? Then I have the FL Fire for the FL Studio Fire joint, but I don't really use that. Like, it ain't really trash. And then I got an MPK Mini to take out, if I got to run the street with it, whatever. Got 2 Scarletts. And then I got a bunch of speakers. So, I got the KRKs over here. Over here, I got the Yamahas. I got another set of Mackeys back there. And then I got another set of Behringers. So, all in all, I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 4 sets of monitors. 2 Macs in here. Got another PC behind me. I got a PC behind me. And then dual monitors here. Larger screen there. We do what we do. It's not a lot. It's not a lot. But I'll probably do is I'll probably make a list and leave it on the website so that you guys can see, what we're using. Nah, I think the FL Fire I think it's straight. You know what I mean? It's just, it's not the same, man. Like, I ain't gonna hold you. I bought it with the hopes that it would be like it would give me a feel like an MPC. It just don't. So it's like this. We do it one of two ways. For artists who are not, we're not working with directly in terms of not doing not recording our music. We'll still do like a consultation to listen to their music. You know what I mean? Like, we'll do that. We're not against that. We'll do that as well to give people feedback. If people are looking for feedback, we can do that for you as well. You know what I mean? That's not a thing. You know what I'm saying? But I don't expect like I don't expect it to go like this. I don't expect people to say, okay, well, you're gonna do a project and it's exclusively us. I don't expect that. I expect what I expect to happen is that you are supposed to probably take one producer to lay down the base of your project. You know what I'm saying? So let's say for example, we're talking about, let's say, Jay-Z's The Blueprint, right? The producer that drove the sound for that would have been Kanye West. And then everybody else now comes in and then they fill in the gaps, right? So now Just Blaze got to come and they got to do what he does to kind of fill in that sound. So it sounds similar, but it's not the same. And then Bink got to come in and got to do something similar to kind of fit what the baseline of the project is. So for people who are paying attention to what I'm saying, like that's how you're supposed to really construct your project. Like, if you can work with one producer exclusively and that works and it gives you enough balance across the project, that's great. In the case where you don't work with one producer for the whole thing, you do want to have, a producer that does a good amount of it to kind of set the tone or to set the bar of where the music needs to be. I said, was it hard for us to gather the sample for Kids in the PJs? So let me tell you the story about this guy. It was that the Kids in the PJs, the guy that we got the sample for Kids in the PJs is a guy named Chris Ferris, right? He was signed to Sony for a brief second, and he does new age music. And we use his sample for we use his sample for Raekwon live from New York, because it's actually the same guy we use for his records too. Like, we use the same guy Once you get a guy that clear your samples, you want to keep using his catalog because he's clearing your samples. So, he clears a sample for us, but you had to pay him. You had to pay him for the first like 10,000 records or something like that. Some number you got to pay him for every 50 or 100,000 records, something like that. You got to give him a certain amount of money for those records, and then he gets 25% of the record and all of that stuff, right? He's in New York, and he reaches out to us, and he's like, yo, I need to meet you guys. He's like, I need to meet you guys because, you guys just made me a ton of money. You know what I'm saying? So we meet him at a restaurant in the city in New York. I think it's the restaurant that kind of spins, the revolving restaurant in downtown. So we meet him at the restaurant. We getting ready to pay for dinner because we're like, it's him. We about to pay for dinner. He's like, nah, I'll pay for dinner. You pay for dinner. He said, if you want to use any of my music, you can use any of it. You can use any of my music you want, because if you think about it, we gave him his first #1 record because at the time, or first top 10 record because Ray Kwan's album would have been a top 10 rap record at the time. So he was really grateful for that. And that's how we would like to work with all people who do samples, man. Like, they got that appreciation and they show the love and say, hey, use my catalog, So we use him for Kids in the PJs. We use him for Live from New York. And we use him again for the song Jury. That's all the same dude, Chris Ferris. Yeah, once you get a guy that clear the samples, man, you got to keep using them. Anthony, I hope I answered your question, bro. Listen, Immobilarity also had music on. Immobilarity had Keith Sweat on it. Y'all didn't hear that record. Immobilarity had a record from Angeletti, from the Hitman. It was a record called Manischewitz. I never forget it. That's how long ago this is from over 25 years ago, and I still remember the name of the record. That's how hard the record was from back then. If you think about it, if you really think about this, right? Think about Immobilarity. Immobilarity had, from the way that it was constructed initially, it had Pete Rock on it, right, for Sneakers, right? We had Pete Rock. We had Carlos Brody and them guys from the Hitmakers, right, who did Yayo and all of that, right? From the Hitmen, rather, not the Hitmakers, the Hitmen. Then we had Angeletti come through. And then there was more guys, right? Who else came through on that? Like I said, Keith Sweat was on that, Big Bob was on there, a few other guys. But, from what we had, it was really, it was saying something, So, just take it from us with them samples, man. Be clear. It was a lot of heavy hitters, man. He paid a lot of money. That record, we spent well over $1 million on that record, man. Between us traveling to California and going to we spent like months in California and then months in Atlanta, and we traveling all over the country trying to record this album. And between that, and I remember we were doing that, and we were doing the American Cream Team at the same time. So, rest in peace, Lord Superb and Chip Banks. Shout out to Ron Brecker and my man, Baby Thad. Rest in peace to Mel Carter as well. I got stories, man. I got a lot of stories. If y'all got the time, I got the stories. This beat is hard, man. I ain't gonna hold you. They got stories, man. There's a lot of stories, man. And that first time, my first time coming to Atlanta was with Ray, not knowing that I was gonna wind up coming and living here. So what was it like working with Pun? Surreal. Like working with Pun was like surreal, man. Like Capital Punishment almost didn't happen. Capital Punishment was the last song that he recorded for that album. There was another Capital Punishment that he had recorded previous to ours. But him and Mike had developed a good relationship, and he heard that record. Nah, I didn't work with Outkast. I was in Atlanta when Ray was did the verse for them though. But what was I saying? With Pun. Yeah, the record almost didn't happen. We had to go to Long Island. We went to Mystic Studios in Long Island. Shout out to them. And then Staten Island, not Long Island, Staten Island. Nah, it's Live on the Barbecue with Raekwon and Outkast. So what was happening with Pun? We tried to record that Capital Punishment. The first time it didn't work. The ASR fried my disc. Second time we went, we didn't separate the drums, and Pun didn't like that we didn't separate the drums. We had to go back and separate the drums. And then the third time, I laid everything on them ADATs, and then we was able to lay that down, and then Pun sat in that chair and he recorded that verse, and then he let Prospect jump in, and at the end of the night, we bought him I bought the mixes to the crib and everything. And then on the second album, we did the Leatherface. We gave him the Leatherface joint, and he was living out of Sony Studios at the time. Him and his family was staying in Sony. This is a long time ago. This is a very long time ago. His son couldn't have been no more or less. His son could have been like 5, something like that. His son was so young. So, but yeah, we had worked in Sony, and then you see him in Sony, and then we would he added those other parts, and he added like that naughty leg, huh? They said he want to add that, and then he added in the DMX parts. So that's Pun that really added those parts in, and then we did everything else on that. But shout out to y'all. I'm about to jump off the live in a hot second, but I'll be back here tomorrow at 9. We're gonna be doing some more beats. And just keep an eye out on the website. Like I said, we're gonna be uploading more tracks for people to kind of hear. And again, we're trying to definitely work with some dope artists, man. Whoever's trying to work, let's work, man. We're here for that. Let's do what we do. You know what I mean? But for the most part, I'm gonna catch y'all tomorrow, man.